All right. Well, welcome. Thank you again. My name is Heather Hoover, and I'm on the multi-funding team. And I'm glad you could join me today for reaching your business growth goals. I just want to talk about some specifics for how you can outline what your growth goals are for your business and how to achieve them. Again, so my name is Heather Hoover. Bear with me here. There we go. So I am the Senior Director of Business Financing. I've been with multi-funding for 7 years now. And what I do is I spend my whole day trying to find funding solutions for clients as they're trying to identify their growth goals. So we work with entrepreneurs across the country, and our goal is to everyone's coming from a different perspective, a different industry, a different amount of growth that they're looking for, and we can talk through for how they with them and find a solution for how they can reach that next step and scale their business. So again, like I said, what we do all day is we work with entrepreneurs and try to find lenders to meet their financing needs. And just for some context, we work with a team, and this is what we do, and we do it well. We do it with the top lenders in the field. So again, we are experts in this industry, and we are happy to help, again, entrepreneurs naturally. So I want to break today down into a few different sections, and a little bit of it is doing some self-reflection about you and your business goals in terms of which will help you make your decisions for how to proceed with growth. So we're going to take a little bit of time to discuss risk tolerance and what that means to you as a business owner. We're going to talk about setting the foundation for growth. We're going to talk about what those investments are and brainstorm a little bit on what investments help businesses grow, and really focus on translating the investments into business value. So why is growth important? Why does it matter to you as a business owner? And lastly, we'll discuss about how to finance that growth and how to analyze kind of the costs of business growth. And so hopefully by breaking it down into these steps, you can translate this information you and your own business and your own needs. We do have, just so you know, a Q&A box in the webinar. Please, I do not hesitate to put in any questions into the Q&A. I'm happy to stop, and I think it makes it so much more interesting and helpful. If you have a question, I'd love to address it as we go. No need to wait till the end. So the first step today that I want to talk about is understanding your risk tolerance. And so what that means is you as an individual business owner, and maybe you have a partner, so maybe you have to double walk through this exercise, but your personality so much drives your business goals. And so if you think about that, it's just kind of, what are your strengths? How does your brain work? Are you like more right-brained and a little more creative and focus on the imagination? Or do you feel like you're more left-brain forward and really rely on quantifying decisions, doing analysis, and that is how you are more comfortable making your business decisions? So everyone's different. There's no right or wrong answer, but it takes a little bit of self-reflection, because it helps you, again, set your business up for success the way you want to run it. And so it really leads to this analysis of what is your risk tolerance. And this comes in twofold. It's risk for how fast you want to push your growth, but it's also risk for the steps you're willing to take to achieve that growth. So here's how we break down the risk tolerance, kind of just three basic buckets. So the first would be risk averse, really not interested in excessive risks for your business, not willing to take personal risks that impact your business. And that's fine. That's what helps you sleep at night. There is, again, no right answer. These are just meant for you to be kind of introspective about how you define your risk tolerance and then you can apply it to your business. So risk neutral is what you think it is. Again, you're kind of maybe willing to take risks in certain categories, and risk flexible is it really doesn't keep you up at night. It doesn't bother you, whether that's related to taking on debt for your business or it's committing to a large investment in your business for a growth goal. So it just is a little bit of thoughtfulness of how you see yourself. I want to share a story here about we have a client at Multifunding. This was years ago. And some of the financing options that we have, actually almost all of them, require a personal guarantee. And a personal guarantee is not a lien, a formal lien on your property, but it's a commitment to a lender that you will do everything you can to pay the loan back. Well, we presented that option to a client, and it was at that time, it was a loan option to help him access working capital for his business. And at that time, the interest rates were about 8% for a long-term 10-year loan. And it had a personal guarantee associated with it. He was not comfortable with that. Instead, he took a 22% loan that was payable over a year. So if you can imagine that tight payment terms, that's a lot of cash flow requirements going out to a lender during that time. So he got the financing. It was at a much higher repayment term. And unfortunately, he went out of business because of it. It was a very not beneficial loan, and it was enough to drive him out of business. And so I bring that up in the context of when you're analyzing your risk, do it in the context of what benefits your business as well. But again, I think another really important thing is to, when you're looking at this risk analysis for each of you, it's twofold. One, it is, again, for you, but also how does your business partner see things? We at Multifunding spend a lot of time and really value trying to work on education for our clients and all of our favorite entrepreneurs who are our clients. And again, that risk profile translates into what we've typed, what is your entre type? And so that's a whole nother presentation for another day. And we can share follow-up information for you to take an online test. But it forces you, when you do your risk analysis for both things like what you're comfortable with from a debt profile, what you're comfortable with taking risks, and how fast you want to grow your business, they all kind of come together through a logarithm to come up with your entre type. And so like an example here, and we're not going to focus on it today, but please reach out because it's something we'd love to provide, again, this survey with you so you can know and have this information and this tool in your toolbox as you're making decisions. But for example, a binocular business owner is someone who is laser focused on the future. They've seen their goals and they are willing to do what it takes to get to those goals. A lifestyle entrepreneur, again, all of these are equally to be celebrated and equally successful. A lifestyle entrepreneur is someone who runs their business in a way that works for their life. So maybe it doesn't have huge growth targets year over year. And maybe you're not looking to a lot of investments or new hires, or always looking to scale, but business is going well and you want to keep it going well. So that's just two examples here, but it's a really interesting analysis and something that's just important for you to keep in mind as you are trying to make difficult decisions for your business. It'll help you find success when you really understand what your your leadership and entrepreneurial profile is. So just for an example, again, these are how it's broken down in terms of risk tolerance and time horizon. Again, just food for thought for future information. And please reach out to us because we'd love to share this survey with you so you can have it, again, as in your toolbox. So as we move forward, we're going to set the foundation for growth. So growth without a solid foundation, picture if you jump and you're jumping off of a soft surface, you don't go anywhere. So if you have a solid foundation and you're looking to make that jump, you'll achieve so much more and go so much higher. So as you know too well, as business owners, there is, it's a lot, right? You've already created the idea, you've grown your business, you've done all of the hard work to get to where you are today. And you know that as the business owner, you're making a million small decisions, everything from maybe some marketing decisions or responses to some goals for your office space or a new hire, everything from your business banking relationship. So you're firing on all cylinders at all times. Some of those are small decisions, maybe office supplies, and some of them are really big decisions. Do we need a better office space? Do we need a new director of sales? And so that is the beauty of being a business owner, but it's not lost on us how much is on your plate at all times. And so, really, to set you up for success, we can't help you take those little things off your plate. But as you are making decisions about the future, what's most important is that you need a plan. And this is really to save you a lot of frustration and expenditures without, putting some thought into it and actually putting down here, what are your goals? And your goals should not be I want to grow my business. It is, I want to grow my business X%. I want to invest in my team. I want to invest in a new marketing campaign, so a new CRM. So again, write these things down and make them very specific, because going back to a couple slides earlier, you have a million things on your plate and a million small decisions. So if you are, again, it's hard to stay focused on the big things and exactly what those targets are because you're busy all day, every day. And so put it in writing, make yourself accountable, and that's a path to success. I think the other thing that is really important to secure your foundation is, again, you're making these decisions, you now have your goals. How are you going to do that? You actually have to start with some of your fundamental business performance details today. And you need to command your financials um, at all times, not just on a quarterly basis, but you should have a very strong sense how your monthly sales are going and how your bottom line is going. So how much money are you driving to net income? Are you controlling your cost of goods? And the reason I bring this up is, again, it just is enforcing all the hard work you're doing with your financial performance. Because later we're going to visit how to pay for some of your goals, what is worth the cost of the investment. And quite frankly, unless you know how it's going to impact your top line sales and how you drive profitability, it's not as impactful. So you need to set goals, but you need to control your financials today. And that's on two sides of the equation. That's both on a profit and loss analysis basis and also your balance sheet. You should have full command of those documents, at least in off the top of your head at all times, and to know how your business is actually performing versus how you think it's performing. So that's going to be key. We need to have that strong foundation to set your goals for the future. So again, just to review here is, again, what investments do you need to make to reach your goals? Are you making them fast enough? And do you have the capital structure to support these goals? And so when you look at all of these things together, and I'll try to keep coming back to this as well, we're talking about future goals. And again, some of them that I want you to reflect upon, especially when we get to this next section, is some of these goals might be very straightforward for you. Why aren't you making them now? Why aren't you making these investments, and what's holding you back? So let's talk about what some of these investments can be for your business. And, this discussion is meant to be very, again, industry agnostic. This should pretty much apply to every business. So I just want to talk through a little bit about what some of these investments can be and share a little bit on our multi-funding team, what we've reflected on over the past year. So we spent a lot of time talking about this because sometimes what holds you up in setting your growth goals are you can't even process or think about them or invest the time in thinking about them because they're meaningless because you don't know how you're going to pay for them. We want you to take that mindset away and brainstorm as if $200,000 just fell out of the sky. So Uncle Joe just showed up, gave you a check for $200,000 to be clear for your business in a way to grow it that you're not doing already. So how would you spend that? And again, to be clear, this is not intended for you to run off to the Bahamas or anything. This is really just for you to reinvest in your business and to kind of spur some business growth. So these are some ideas. It can be investing in people and new hires, marketing, whether that's a new website or a marketing campaign or a PR group for support. Is it actual physical equipment to help your efficiency and your productivity? Is it products? Do you need to grow your product line? Real estate. Have you been performing great, but you know if you can buy your own location and then grow your own assets that way, because then you're again growing your growth through owning your real estate. These are all ways to invest. So one thing to think about is that these are two different there's two different categories. So one is the kind of the measurable. So these are things that are the direct mail campaign. They're new salespeople, new equipment, new location. They're all things that you can, pretty much are tangible and that you are adding to grow your business. But then there's other things that are a little more unclear, but so important as well. Do you need to revamp your branding? Could it be updated, modernized? And what does that mean as it spreads across all of your different communication tools? Employee training. Do you have a great team, but they can be more efficient, or just haven't learned to maximize your CRM? Or do you need a new CRM system altogether? So just again, I'm bringing all of these up so that you can keep a kind of track of what are the goals, what are the investments, but break them down into real specifics here. So I want you to save this this slide. And again, the presentation is being recorded, and the slides will be shared with you afterwards. But come back to this, and this is something. Again, this is your cheat sheet for a path forward for success, which is one, I need to get more sales. I need to invest in this, and I need to add more capacity. I need to do this. So this is, again, it's your cheat sheet, and it really is meant to force you to put on, pen to paper as to what those growth goals are and how you're going to reach them. All right. So this is, like I mentioned, multi-funding. We do the same thing. We, even though our job is to educate and work with entrepreneurs on financing solutions, we're still a small business and we have to do these same exercises ourselves. So for multi-funding over the last year, some of the items that we invested in were really a broad spectrum, online training, website, Tableau. Now, Tableau is it helps project revenue performance throughout the year. And it's just a tool that helps us prepare and plan for basically our cash flow cycles. New processors. So that's someone else on our team that makes our team run more efficiently. Online marketing. Where can we be investing in that? PR. Are we reaching our audience effectively enough? How can we improve that? Sponsorships for multi-funding. That's a lot of, we go to a lot of conferences and groups. And so what is our investment of our time and sponsorships to have a return? And then new lender relationships. So a lot of what we do all day is we are connecting lenders with entrepreneurs. And so we need to invest and make sure that our relationships on the lender side are also growing. So yes, we need our entrepreneurs to connect with them and to grow our audience, but we need to make sure we also invest in the other side, so we have that relationship fully developed. And so, listen, the I wish I could tell you every investment you make is going to pay off. Unfortunately, they don't. And so here's a couple here when we kind of reflect a little bit. The first column is the measurable. So website, Tableau, and PR aren't measurable investments, but they were important investments for us. And then are we happy we did it? So a year later, was it worth it? And again, a couple of these weren't. A couple of these we felt like the PR push, maybe we should have spent that money differently. So unfortunately, the beauty of being a business owner, every investment is not going to have the exact return you hope for, but we knew the cost of it and we knew it was worth the I hate to say risk, but we knew it was worth it to look at that avenue and see if we could get the return for the business. So I walked through all this with you. Again, this is specific to multi-funding and our small business, but again, just to give you an idea of, again, how to keep almost a scorecard for yourself when you're looking at these goals and these investment goals. So why does this matter? This matters for a couple different reasons. And as small business owners, I know there's huge value and pride in owning your business. Again, you've grown it, you've scaled it, you've put in the hard work. There should be a tremendous amount of pride in that. However, it is also a huge asset to you personally as the business owner. And so I just want to translate why it's important to focus on growth, because it translates to business value. And so I don't want you to lose sight. Kind of, we keep going back to this theme of you're a business owner, you've got a million things on your plate. Don't lose sight of what this hard work is for, because it really is increasing the value of your business. So the first scenario we're going to walk through is using cash flow for investment. And I'm sorry, I did want to add again, just a reminder, please reach out in the chat. Allie is on with us today. She will make sure to interrupt me and we can answer any questions you have. But any questions you have as they come up, please don't hesitate to put your question in the Q&A, and I'll be happy to take a break to answer them. Okay, so back to the scenarios, and we're discussing why the investment matters and how to translate and quantify that investment. So the first strategy that we're using is just using growth as is for future investment. So here's the scenario. This is related to a marketing company. So they had $1 million in sales over the last year. The owner's profit, so their net income at the end of the year, was $100,000. Now their goal is to grow the business in 3 years, over the course of 3 years, to 1.5 million. And so that would make their business worth 800,000, because they're saying today there's net income of $100,000. If you look at multiples, and for all these scenarios, we're looking at a 4 times business valuation multiple. So if an outsider looked at that business that was driving $100,000 in net income profitability, with a 4 times multiple, someone would say, an outside appraisal would say that business is worth $400,000. So if they just keep going along, the owner takes $100,000 out every year, isn't making a lot of changes, that base business is staying at $100,000. This business owner has indicated that they want more. They want to grow to 1.5 million in top line sales and $200,000 of profitability. They're going to do that by not taking the $100,000 out of the business, but reinvesting it every year. And they know by reinvesting $100,000 a year that they will be able to grow the business to $200,000 of profitability. How are they going to invest it? They're going to take that, again, they're a marketing company. They're going to take that and they're going to do 2 big investments. They're going to make a new hire, so a new salesperson, and they think that salesperson, they can see that that's where they've been lacking, and they can drive a 50% increase over 3 years with that new salesperson. And they're going to move into a new office space because that's going to make their team much more effective and efficient in working in their collaborative work. So again, that's their $100,000 investment. And so this is again what I want to break down for you. They spent $100,000 once. They know that it's going to take 3 years to see that growth. But guess what? They did it. At the end of 3 years, they're $1.5 million. They now are driving profitability, net income profitability of $200,000. And that now is making their business worth $800,000. And so if you remember, I mentioned that if they just bumped along and operated business as usual, they would the business would be worth $400,000. Well, look, they've made that $100,000 investment. They've let that investment get to work for them. And now their business is worth $800,000, twice as much. So by making a $100,000 investment, their business has doubled in value, which is, again, like I mentioned, it's a huge source of pride to own your own business. But what is the value of your business? And this is driving driving value to the business owner. So let's take that whole scenario and let's increase it and really kind of push for that small company, that marketing company. Let's push the limits for them. Let's triple that investment. And so this is really hard because a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, it's really hard to, in your mind, say, oh, yes, I'm going to send not only now $100,000 out the door, sorry, not out the door, back into the business. I need to spend $300,000 to reach my growth goals. It sounds pretty scary because you can't figure out how you're going to pay for that all at once. We will come to that part later, but I think it's really important. And I feel like as part of when you're writing down your growth goals, you should have your comfort option, kind of what you can do today with reinvesting profitability into your growth. And what if you had access to triple that investment and to capital to triple that investment, and plan for both of those so you are always pushing your limits. So let's look at what this $300,000 investment could be. So now this is next level stuff. There's not just one sales rep, there's 2 sales representatives. There's a new chief operations officer, and another junior accounting manager. So that's 4 new hires for this marketing company. And what's that going to do for them? What is that going to help them with? And what's that going to achieve for them? So here, look what they've done. They have opened up the path forward now for $3 million of growth. Again, it's in this investment taking the time to grow, but over 3 years. So what does that mean? Well, that now is driving their bottom line profitability from it was at the one-time gross, so $100,000 investment got them to $200,000 for the net income profitability. Look, here in this scenario, we're at $400,000 for that profitability. So they've taken a $300,000 investment. It has grown their bottom line up to $400,000. Look, their business valuation, again, this is how an outside business appraiser would look at it with a 4 times multiple. Their business is now worth $1.6 million. And so what was in the first scenario, things just bumping along as is, without any thought to investment or growth. And here, making a big investment, and I understand it all ties back to our whole conversation on risk. But this now, look, the business is valued at $1.6 million. And so this takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of planning. It takes specific goals. You can't just wing it. But by having the sound financial planning on your documents, by having the actual growth investment goals and then executing them, it translates to value for your business. So how do we get there? How do you get from moving beyond kind of reinvesting in your business as you have funds to taking that next step with a higher investment capital amount? How do you do that? Well, how have you done it in the past? So there is kind of, and again, it does sort of tie back to your risk analysis for yourself personally as a business owner. So you could look at it. Have you gotten borrowed funds from friends and family? Have you taken on a bank term loan or line of credit? Or have you taken on an equity partner? So these are, again, the variety of options for how to fund growth. Cash flow is like the scenario one that we walked through where profitability was being invested back in the business. So just as the company continues to show profits, that's what's paying for the growth. Again, a loan that could be a line of credit. An equity injection would be through an investment partner, and that could be family and friends, or is it taking on a personal loan, taking out a HELOC to fund your business? And so this is where it's really important to know your options. And just because the way you've done it one way in the past, that's not right or wrong. You can continue that path, but I just want to walk through so you can understand the different solutions to fund your capital growth for your business. So they include debt. We actually rely a lot on SBA-backed lending because we've found particularly for working capital needs, there's a straightforward process to get banks to offer, loan proceeds for growth. And so you could do a conventional bank loan as well, but we do find that sometimes conventional banks often can say no because they're not comfortable with either the longevity of the business or some of the assets. They're not fully collateralized. Some things that pertain to conventional banking don't fit always to get capital out the door. But so that's why we do rely a lot on SBA-backed lending. We'll get to that in a minute. Again, equity can come in two forms. It's taking on a new partner, adding a new equity investor, and then cash flow would be through actual net income proceeds or through a line of credit that you use to operate your business. So what we talked through here, we talked through that first scenario with the Kickstart marketing. The first scenario is that $100,000 investment. That could be through cash flow, again, through a line of credit, or like I keep referencing, through reinvesting that net income. And that's fine. That business was worth $400,000. It was performing well. And again, that's totally fine. But they could have doubled that investment. So here we're kind of doing like a halfway analysis. The scenarios we provided were for the $100,000 investment, which is the top bullet point, and the $300,000 investment, which is the third bullet point. But there's an interim step. What if you kind of wanted to do half and half? So invest in growth with the company net profitability, and also take out a $100,000 SBA loan. Today, SBA interest rates are at 11.25%. And the way the loans are structured, they're amortized over 10 years. So it gives a nice long repayment runway. That payment would be $1,392 a month. And so it's kind of a bifurcated approach. Again, some self-funding and some outside capital from a lender. Is that $200,000 investment worth it to you to pay if it only costs you $1,392 a month? The business could definitely clear it. It would definitely is something that the business operations would not be impacted by an investment of $100,000. And the growth, you would meet kind of halfway in those growth goals. The third bullet point is, let's say that $300,000 investment, how are we going to pay for that? Again, it's a lot to not have capital lined up, and you can't just hope that the net profitability will be able to pay for those investments. When you're adding those, if you remember, they were all new hires. So if you're adding an expense immediately for those, salaries and those new hires, you're going to feel that cash flow choke on your business. This approach allows you to to do two things. One is you could pay $100,000 through performance and take out a $200,000 loan. So again, that $200,000 loan, it's over 10 years, it's at 11.25%. And that monthly payment is going to be $2,784. So is it worth it to you to pay $2,784 a month so that you can make those big investments? I think, again, this business could clearly support it, and it's giving you a path forward to make that bigger growth goal and to make it attainable. Now, here's another option. Maybe you cash fund 100% or $100,000 of it, and you get an equity investor for 20% of your business. They will take over 20% of your business and they will give you $200,000. Yep, you wouldn't know them anything today, but let's talk about that in a minute. What does that really mean to you as a business owner? Excuse me. So again, I talked about the SBA being an option, and we did review those two scenarios. One was with a $100,000 loan, and one was with the $200,000 loan to reach those growth goals. Again, let's talk about the SBA because it is a great tool for small businesses to access again, working capital and growth capital, and banks are actually good at doing this. There's a little bit of a confusion about about utilizing SBA, because quite frankly, the SBA program is a federal program and they're not great at marketing their program. And so there's a little bit of confusion about what the SBA program does and what the benefits are. So I do want to take just a minute to talk through some of this. The SBA, it's a government guarantee program. And really the goal is to get banks to get dollars out the door to small businesses. Again, I'm sure you've been through the scenario where you've gone to a bank and asked for a conventional loan and the bank will say no. It doesn't mean you can't get a loan from that bank. Perhaps they have an SBA program. We quite frankly see another huge confusion is that we've had some of our clients come to us and say, I went to the bank on my corner. They told me I was not eligible for SBA lending. That's also not true. It actually is that the lenders work within their own credit box. They are backed by the government guarantee through the SBA program. So because it's a loan from a bank, one bank that is doing SBA loans might say you're not a good fit, and the next bank, there might be other banks out there for you. And so just again, the SBA program is meant to get dollars out the door to entrepreneurs. And the way it works is that the federal government actually is giving a guarantee to the bank. So that's what's giving them the comfort to get the dollars out the door to you. Excuse me. Again, the other confusion is that SBA is just for small businesses. It is the Small Business Administration under the federal government that runs this program. But small businesses are a lot larger than you think. So the SBA financing, it can go up to $5 million for equipment purchases or a partner buyout, or if you want to acquire a competitor or a new business altogether. So the loans go up to $5 million. We were talking about some smaller scenarios, but just know whatever size tool you need, the SBA is there for you to support and get to support that project for you through a lender. For real estate and equipment as well, you could go up to $12.8 million under what's called a 504 structure. So here, this last tab, I'm not qualified for an SBA loan. According to my bank, that is the scenario that I just mentioned, where people come to us and say, I'm not eligible. And again, it's very hard, and it's part of the SBA problem with the brand of SBA loans is the confusion for what's not eligible under an SBA program versus what just doesn't work with that bank's credit box. And some examples are some banks just don't like to do financing for restaurants, and that's fine. There's other banks that do. And so again, there's thousands of SBA backed lenders across the country. And so again, if it doesn't work for one bank, there's a chance it's going to work for another. The one thing that we see applies for almost all SBA lenders is they do rely on net income profitability and that's how they approve their loan. They like to see that the business is cash flowing and can pay them back, and that's the major driver behind their loan approvals. So here are some ways to use an SBA loan. You can buy out a partner or acquire a business. And so that is the partner buyout has changed, and it's really interesting because now a new partner could buy into your business. That wasn't allowed before under SBA lending. So now you can buy out an existing partner, or you can have a new partner buy into the business, and it's paid through a loan proceeds that the business is taking out a loan to pay for that. It can pay for your expansion or growth capital. Are you running a franchise and you're looking to open a franchise, in your region and you just need financing for it? Are you acquiring another franchise? Are you acquiring a competitor, not franchise related, in your region? There's ways to do that with a 0% down payment. It can also be a great tool for refinancing debt. And the reason is, like we discussed the structure, that nice long 10-year repayment just gives you a lot of cash flow for refinancing. So it can be a very positive path for that. What if you want to have a startup financing? It's useful for franchise startups. Do you need to finance equipment? I know there's lots of different equipment financing options out there. We do like for our clients to consider SBA, again, because they can get the 10-year repayment. A lot of equipment lenders might only give a 5 or 7 year term, and it can just give them breathing room in terms of their profitability when they have a longer amortization. And obviously you want it to match the life of the equipment. But again, it's very common to get SBA lending for 10 years for equipment. And this is another really important thing as you're looking at these growth goals. Is it time to refinance? Do you own your real estate? Do you own your office or your warehouse? You can refinance it with SBA debt. Or if you're looking to do construction or buy an owner-occupied building, that's the key. SBA financing is only helpful if you are going to be the owner. If it's going to be an owner-occupied building. For the rules change, I just want to highlight again that in the past, SBA lending was a great tool. But again, there's some new changes that have allowed for smaller equity contributions for acquisitions and also for partial partner buy-ins to a business. And again, it just helps you as you're trying to look at these growth goals. You have more flexibility in how to finance it. And all of these are business loans from the lender to the business. So again, multi-funding, we have tons of learning and webinars based on these details, and we'd love to share those with you as well. And I think at the end of the day, again, I keep going back to the risk. So for an SBA loan, they require personal guarantee. Are you willing to personally guarantee the loan so that you can grow your business and get that reward? Are you willing to take on an equity partner and take the risk of the unknown, what that value is? Is that worth the reward? So again, you just always have to go back to each stage of this discussion and starting with your risk tolerance and identifying your goals and having it written down so it doesn't get confused as you're trying to figure out how to reach those goals and if you need to add capital or equity to achieve those goals. I bring up here, again, I want to focus a little more on the equity discussion because it seems great and it is a good tool to bring on a new equity investor or partner and say, again, in our example, we said that there would be an equity partner who would give $200,000 and that would take 20% of the business. That's great. However, if you then sell the business, as we talked about the different growth metrics, you now are actually giving up so much more than you got for the business. So if you're selling 20% of the business, or if you're selling the business after you've achieved all this growth, and that partner is getting 20% right off the top. Now, in that one growth scenario, you're giving that partner, your new equity partner, well over $300,000. That would have been dollars in your pocket. And are you comfortable with what you're giving up? So we do spend a lot of time talking about Shark Tank, and it is always interesting to see their negotiations and offers. But what does that mean to you as the business owner? And what are you giving up when you're the one that has, again, come up with the idea, you've developed the business, you've grown kind of a dream into a reality, and now you're giving up all the upside if you sell your business, and not all the upside, 20% of the upside. So is that worth it to you? So just beware that dollars in from an equity investor today, yes, they do fix a growth goal or a growth hole, but at what cost? And that cost is unknown until later when you're exiting the business, but it could be a huge cost to you. So here we go. This is the discussion again. It's the trade-off between your risks and your goals. So is it worth it? The first discussion here, is it worth it for a monthly payment of just under $3,000 for 10 years to increase the value of your business by $800,000? Or is it worth it to get the $200,000 to that equity investor? Now, it's true, there's no debt. There's no liens or a personal guarantee. There's no liens on your business or personal guarantee. But what are you giving up? It's the unknown. And again, that would cost you much more than you received when you're exiting the business. So let's recap all of this. Why did we spend all this time together today? And again, thank you so much for joining us. The first question, again, what is your risk tolerance? And why does that matter? And it matters again. If you can be clear with yourself and true to yourself on what your risk category is today, it's going to make decision making so much easier for you as you come up with your path forward. So you can't fight who you are, and you shouldn't. It should be celebrated. But knowing what your risk profile is really going to be a key to your success. What investments did you make in the last 12 months? Have you been tracking them? Were they worth it? Are you glad you did them? Do you want to repeat some of them, or were some of them not worth it? Document everything. Don't wing anything. This will help you make your future decisions. And what is your goal 3 years ago or 3 years from now? So again, on paper, what is your goal and how are you going to get there? Again, don't wing it, write it down and hit those targets. You'll feel great. And as we walk through the analysis, not only will you feel great and again, have great sense of pride in your business, but it means something to you. It means something to you from your business assets and investment to yourself. At the end of the day, this is really what we focus on the most at Multifunding. We love our clients. We work, again, with clients across the country, every different industry. What works for them, each one of them is different. And our job is to make sure that everyone sleeps well at night. So really, whatever decision you make, you have to be able to, again, leave the office, put your head on the pillow at night and sleep well and know that you've made a good decision for you. And it's going to be different for everyone. And again, part of sleeping well at night, again, Multifunding, we work on capital needs and growth goals and how to fund those growth goals. We would love to help you achieve those growth goals. And please reach out. We are so happy to help if you have a little question, a big question, if you want to talk through a scenario. We do this all day, every day, and we know how to guide you towards success. So with that, I just wanted to check again to see if anyone has any questions before we wrap up.
There are no questions at the moment, but feel free to leave any questions in the Q&A box.
Great. And again, please use this QR code and so that you can receive again, the slides and any information you may need. And also please stay in touch and don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to connect with you.
Thank you, Heather. I've also, if you are tuning in through your phone or are unable to scan the QR code, I've also sent a link to it in the chat box. All right, well, we still don't have any questions. Heather, thank you so much. This was such a great webinar today.
Great. Thanks everyone for your time. I look forward to hearing from everyone and have a great day.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.